All right, I've started recording this session today, so thank you for attending the VOLTHA call. And the first thing we wanted to do on today's agenda was to go over newly opened issues quickly to assess if there's anything that should be a priority to bring into Sprint 1 for 1.1.x, and then may do a quick look at some of the new issues as well to see if we have a sense for what release they belong in. But I think priority should be for what needs to go into 1.1.x. So the newest one, actually, let me refresh the screen to make sure I have the newest one. And it looks like I do. Okay, so the newest one is actually a story. And so I think this one is not going to belong in this sprint. Provide a way for VOLTHA ANI admin state to be updated until VOL 3.14 is delivered, I believe. And so there's a temporary fix required until VOL 3.14 is implemented. And this was opened a couple days ago. Let me see if we have anyone assigned at this point. I don't, oh, Nikolai assigned it to himself. Does anyone need to go and look at VOL 3.14 first? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Let me get my controls visible here. Okay. So I think this one, since we're focusing primarily on defect fixes for 1.1.x fixes, I think that one will wait. We'll move on to VOL 491. This one is delete of ONU device should not be allowed either in CLI or curl, and since it is one-to-one with VOLTHA ANI. So a create and delete of the ONU takes place only when VOLTHA ANI object is created and deleted respectively. And this one was opened about the same time as the one we just talked about for the story. And we do have comments on that from Sarisha. So it looks like this is not critical in her view. Code is already viewed and tested. So it looks like this could be slated beyond 1.1.x. Sean or...
Maybe it should be in since they already have it fixed. I think this was just cleaning up something that shouldn't have, wasn't supposed to work, wasn't supposed to be allowed. It just makes it more restrictive. So it can probably stay in the sprint, right? Point. Because the fix is imminent.
Okay. Do we want to put it in sprint 1? Since it's there, it sounds like we could.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right.
So we have more progress.
And let's see. Can I assign it to the sprint from here? There we go. It looks, I don't see how to put it in this. Here we go. All right. Thank you for that. And Sarisha, thank you for the comment that you posted. We have a number of new stories that are here that appear to be related to the adapters. So do we have Tim on? Let me look at the side here.
Yes.
Tim,
I'm on.
have these been discussed on your call, or do we need to look at them?
We don't need to look at them right now. That looks like these were entered all about the same time and are probably just placeholders. We'll scrub those, identify which epic, and release to target those two. Great.
Thank you very much. Then I think we can move down to VOL 484. Delete and addition of flows are not working on edge core device. And,
just sorry, on the previous one, the PBIT mapping, that's controlled by the 485 provisioning, is it? Or is there a separate mechanism for that?
The 485, did you say?
Yeah, so the XPON provisioning that does mapping of traffic classes to queues, is that directly analogous to the PBIT mapping to Gemport?
Sean, you need to review these. Yeah. The storylines are not very expansive. These need to be reviewed.
Okay, all right. We'll talk offline, I guess.
Okay, we'll jump down to 484. And this is clear in addition of flows are causing unexpected behavior in edge core device. Unicast data stops if flows are deleted and added. And actually, this looks like another adapter.
Yeah, it's adapter.
Yeah. So do you want to handle that on your discussions, or should we discuss this one here?
Well, is this causing anyone else immediate issue?
That's true.
That would be my question. If it is, which we could target it for 1.1.1, otherwise I'd say 1.2.
So on the call, has anyone had a chance to look at this? And if so, do you know if this one's causing any problems for your testing or for your development work?
So the flow deleting, that's manual. The flow that you say, how would the flow be deleted?
That's would be related to, operator action.
You can see the stuff. Clear and adding a flow. You call it clear.
Yeah, I think one way you could probably reproduce it is in the VOLTHA CL, in the ONA CLI, just do a delete the subscriber, and that will make data flow like they hung up.
But if no user intervention, someone, okay, yeah. but after re-add, then how do we get the traffic back? Am I making any sense?
Yes.
So you say the unicast traffic will be
right, and what we probably.
So can we have some update regarding to? Sorry, do I have a delay on my side? I'm using the computer, the SIP. So what I'm saying is, if the flow got deleted, what I'm trying to say is if this happened, then how do we get the traffic back, right? And if no one ever manually delete the flow, would this happen by itself?
I don't think it happens by itself. Actually, there's not a lot of information in that report. We just have to go back. I think go back to Ragu and get a little bit more details on what's going on there.
Sean, let us go review this one, identify how critical it is, and then we'll come back next week and say this should be done in 1.1.1, or if have discussion if it could wait till 1.2.
Right, because I don't want something in the I'm being dramatic here. I don't want one person's flow, one person's internet access got interrupted, and then you have to reboot the whole adapter or something like that.
Understood. We need to know more about it.
Yeah, I think just the use cases where this could happen. I mean, going to happen if an ONU power cycles. That would be bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if ONU power cycle, sometimes people do. Then, yeah, it's so the flow went out.
kind of light information here, but needs to be kind of more of a, how do you replicate this? But just what I read, it says clearing an addition of flows. So that was like an actual action by operator or CLI or management. It's not saying that it spontaneously happens at any time. So that's about all we can go on here for this one until we get more info. So it's flagged for more information. Let's revisit it.
And if there are additional specific questions anyone wants to add in, feel free to add additional comments here as well, or I can do them now. But I think we have that flag for more info. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. 483, clear alarms are not working on edge core adapter and device. Once ONU-related alarms are raised, they are not cleared later. So I'm assuming that means they're not cleared after the condition is resolved.
Right. And this is, again, a very skinny description. Yeah. I'm gonna lump this with the rest of these that were entered late last week. Let's go take a look, and we'll come back to you next week.
Okay. I think it's going to be easier to edit here.
Sorry. So, and since Raghu, they're on break right now too, right? So.
Yeah, you're not going to get any more information on this one until next week. Yeah. So I just say let's defer until next week. We'll come back and prioritize.
All right. And then I think we have another batch of adapter stories here. Adapter, Broadcom ONU reboot. Let's take a look really quickly here. Issue reboot. Once the device is up, provision. Okay, so this is additional functionality, so I don't think we're tackling that now. And similarly here for 479. And again, additional functionality.
Nope, that's different.
Yes, question. Oops.
478.
That's 478 is something different. It's non-adapter. Right. This is a real description. Make groups map as. Yeah.
But I think it's additional functionality being requested rather than a defect, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just saying not adapter related.
Right. So I can put in a request for more info as well.
I think you should.
It's the additional. Sorry.
Just push to have the story read. That's not a story. So we had to push that a little bit hard. So let's get try to get a little bit better information in there for the story.
Yeah, and then what's the definition of done?
Let's see. Does anyone know? Let's see. No. Okay, I can't figure out how to pull his name up on this one quickly, so I will update that afterwards. Okay. And then this next one is already targeted for VOLTHA Future. So Kim, it looks like you're the reporter for this one. Remove VOLTHA from cord repo manifest file. Okay. And so that one, I don't think any concerns from the group.
Whom should be assigned to?
Oh, that's true.
Well, when we decide to take this up, right, it's future, and it shouldn't be assigned to anybody that's not actively working on it. So it's sitting there.
I think it'll sit there till we decide to start moving forward with the story.
Right, but it has further implications because this is saying to do something on the cord side of, and I think it's probably best right now since cord is going through its own releases and such, and they may have a different track on this as things progress with cord taking VOLTHA into our cord. So So I think this one should just hang around for a while. It's not going to affect VOLTA, our VOLTA release train.
Okay, let's move on to 476. Race condition in XPON of VONT ANI is provisioned after OLT pre-provisioning and before OLT enable.
So this is a very good bug report. So this is how we'd like to see it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chip.
You're welcome, Chip.
Okay, and we do have a comment from Sarisha here. Sarisha, did you want to discuss that, or do you want me to just read it out here?
I don't believe she's on the call.
She's not on the call. She sent an email.
Offline. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. So Sarisha's comment is due to lack of device management and inability to create ports and devices prior to the device being discovered. It's the design intent with the current framework for VOLTA to discover the device and its PON port. So once discovered, ports can be configured. Once device management is available in the core, this will be resolved.
I thought with the XPON management, we're supposed to not discover the PON ports automatically when we discover the device. I thought that was kind of the direction that we're heading. The XPON stuff.
Yeah, because it seems like you can create the ports using that model.
It just seems to me that the comment there seems to contradict what I thought was the common direction. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the comments.
Well, I think yesterday Sarisha said because there's no device management implemented, you can't pre-provision anything, I guess is what she was saying. So anything that relies on equipment to be pre-provisioned, I guess, is not provisionable unless it's first discovered, is, I guess, what the statement is.
So
it seems like until the OLT and the ports are discovered, you can't create anything. Basically, it seems like it's what the issue is here.
So what is Chip's? What did you discover here? So very quick and simple this explanation.
Okay. It relates to how the channel ID calculation is done for the proxy address. It looks up the channel pair name has to match a port's label description. So depending on who creates that port label, if it's discovered by the device, if it doesn't exist, then you get a 0 back, and that sort of fails.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just between if you do pre-provision and enable. I haven't tested the case where the ownership of a VOLTHA OLT is moved to another instance when you go through the re-enable. I don't know if it will occur there or not. I haven't tested that part.
Cool. So I guess for field trial, we probably will not pre-provision things. So as long as we don't pre-provision it, then this is okay. Is that correct?
Yeah. What you can do is you can do actually you can say pre-provision to get your OLT installed, and go ahead and do your enable, and then do all your XPON commands, and that should work fine.
Okay.
But that's where the case is when you do re-enable, or not, maybe no re-enable. It's the recovery, I guess, when you can stop a VOLT instance and start it up again. I'm not sure how it happens, what happens there, but that might not be the issue.
So if one VOLTA instance, maybe Sergio can input on this one. So if the hosting VOLTA node disappeared and it moved to another one in the cluster, then this will be an issue?
I have not tested that. I just wanted to let people know that. I didn't think about that until this morning.
Okay.
if a node in the cluster goes away, the container that was being hosted on that node is restarted on one of the 2 remaining nodes, and the device will be repopulated in that container, and then a reconcile will be requested from the adapter.
Yeah. And I was thinking, because of the reconcile, you get the case where both XPON and the adapter are going up at the same time, are started. So.
Yeah. So the way that it was implemented, at least in my discussion with Sarisha, the way the XPON handles this is that when the reconcile is requested, the XPON will actually send a reconcile start to the adapter and then send all the provisioning commands down again. The adapter knows at this point that those aren't real provisioning commands, but requests to validate that the configuration exists on the device itself, and then it will send a reconcile end at the end of that. That was the way that they were going to implement it from a discussion we had with them. So there shouldn't be any strange conflicts if that's the way they implemented it. But I don't know. And without Sarisha on the call, it's hard to say. If they
Can we ask? I know it's since can we ask Sarisha to test this in the lab? Have the node. Yeah, basically.
It may be adapter specific or just race condition, speed of the machine.
Right.
So this is testing on a development laptop.
Okay.
And bring the whole server down. They can just kill the one container that was running the. So they don't have to.
And I'll try to give it a try also. So.
I'll send a separate email to Sarisha. Ask her to do it.
I will not add that here, and then I think we would
which vote is it's
476.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once we hear back, then we'll assess better, hopefully, where this belongs in terms of when to resolve it. So let's move on now to 475. And this one we've looked at previously. I think bump Ono's apps to correct released versions for VOLTHA 1.1 release. And I know there were some updates in here. And there we go. So David had added a comment a couple days ago after our last call. I think it was after. See if this is the info that was expected by everyone. And I haven't seen any additional comments. David, have you gotten any feedback from anyone?
I mean, there's some back channel conversation that we've had about this, trying to figure out what we actually need to change. Other than that, it looks like the only 2 apps that have actually changed between the master branch and the support branch, the latest support branch, are AAA and DHCP. I really hope everybody's cherry-picked all the changes to the right branches. I'm not convinced that's actually the case, but if those are the only things that need updating, those will be the 2 apps that need updating. And I was talking to Kim earlier that we need to update the VOLTHA versions, dependency versions in both the VOLTHA support branch and the master branch.
Okay.
As well as release these applications.
Okay, is there anything else you need now? It sounds like you've had enough discussions in the background that probably this is going along okay at the moment?
I think so.
Or, okay.
Kim,
any discussion from anyone else, Kim?
David, go ahead. Say again.
Kim, I just want to make sure you kind of agree with what I said and you think we're all set.
Yes. I think we have the commits that are ready to go. We just needed to, clarify which acts actually had to update. So it sounds like we'll just pull it back to those 2, and we'll go with that. It would just be nice to have a little bit more chime in from anybody else that worked on these apps that made a change for VOLTHA, but we haven't gotten any, any more communication since then. So I guess we just have to go with, with this latest findings if we want to, lock down, if we want to tag that 1.1.0 release. Okay.
Well, it's been open. It's been open for 6 days. Plenty of opportunity for others to look and check.
All right. I think we can go with the latest findings, and that'll be it. And if it needs to get fixed, we'll fix it on master 1.1.x.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll go on to 474. This looks like a feature request, but it's actually under test now as well and will be pushed early next week. So maybe we should take a look at this one. And it looks like that is expected that it's going to get folded into 1.1.1. So this is U-test for another issue, which is support VNet as a flow port.
Yeah, so that should probably go in the sprint, and it's in the right, release, looks like, because the test is coming.
What was the comment below?
The comment was that I think the work was done and is under test and would be pushed next week.
Okay.
So we'll put in the spring one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think we're nearing the end of the new tickets. Yes. So I think we're through the ones that had not been looked at. So why don't we go ahead and move over? Actually, before I move over, questions from anyone on these before we go and start looking at what we have for sprint content?
Hey, this is Nathan.
Yes.
For Vol 469, I think that's the number. Kim, is that one automatically taken care of by the updates you made for 455?
Yes. That yes, that one should be fixed with that driver Schmidt. Yes, I'll take care of updating that and closing that one. That's a good. Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you.
For which ticket was it?
469.
455? No, the one that
455.
455.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So 469 is related to 455.
Yeah, so we can put that linkage in later. Okay. Then anything else before I switch screens? Okay, then let me, well, actually, I could have maybe done on the other. Let's go ahead and look at what we've got in the sprint currently. And then also look at the backlog and see if there are things that need to be pulled up and see how we are in terms of resources for the functions that are in here. Okay, so we've already discussed this one earlier today. Let me maybe close up Epics. And 434, we had some discussion the other day on that. We had a separate call yesterday. Make sure we have the and we do have an assignee. Okay. And 460, this is another one we had actually this one we had a call on yesterday. And do we have, let's see, we don't have an assignee for this one at this point still. And I think that's still under investigation, actually. So that probably needs to hold off till we have more detail on that. Vol 454. This one we do have an assignee and it's in scope. And same with 435, that one is currently assigned to David. And 406, David, this is another one for you. So if you're concerned about, okay, good. And 473, this is related to proxy port. This one is assigned to himself as well and in progress, so I think that one's on track at the moment. Okay, and this one I think we talked about on the last call as well. Actually, why don't I scroll down a little bit to ones that we are newer for having been scoped in. I think we took a few old ones that were sort of stagnant in previously scoped for VOLTHA 1.0, for example, and were sitting around, and then moved them out of that and into the current 1.1.x. So we'll see if these belong elsewhere or if they do belong in Sprint 1. Okay, so this one I don't know, do we have anyone on who can discuss? Okay, this one on OF agent and OMCI unit tests are failing. This one indicated comments that these were still being seen. I don't see a lot of detail here on this ticket. Let me see if I can. Is anyone at this call familiar with this issue? Okay, does not sound like it. So this one, it sounds like issues were still being seen this month. They were not a blocker.
That's not. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that this is a blocker. I'll talk to Ken.
No, right. I understood that it's not a blocker, but I think the question is this something that belongs in this sprint? It was, I think, previously scoped to one of the other releases, and we're trying to get those cleaned up since 1.0 is done, for example.
So I guess the one that needs to speak to this is Satish. Is he on the call?
I did not see him on the list.
No.
Well,
okay.
Let's put a comment in and see if this can be targeted for Sprint 1.
And let's see. Okay, I'm not finding the right drop down here. Let me go back and make a note to myself to try and update this one afterwards. Okay. All right. This one we just talked about, and this one we just talked about, and this one was talked about previously. Okay. So I think what we can do then is go down to the backlog. I'll ask about this one offline, add a comment after the call. And then what I've done is a couple of the old ones, again, down here. These are stories that were in one of the earlier releases, and we're trying to clean those up and get things that were not included moved out of that. So right now I have these in the backlog. I wanted to check to see if these belong in 1.1.1 or if they should wait to a later release, or also if they need to go in Sprint 1. So VOL84, a mechanism to save immutable cluster configuration is required for backups. That one does show as in progress. And Sergio, it looks like this is one that you opened.
Yeah, that was an original story from VOLTHA 1.0. Yep.
So does this one belong in sprint 1 in your view? Or is this something that can...
Probably not.
Okay. Should we look at, let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't belong in 1.1.
That was my next question, is
I would I would move this to 1.2.
Okay.
It's going to be important for production, but for POCs and trials, I don't know that it's a critical requirement.
Sounds good. And then the next one that was here for some cleanup is Vol 278. Validate least privilege permissions, and this one is unassigned. As an operator, I need to validate least privilege access on VOLTHA instances so that centralized NFV cloud resources maintain security compliance, and etc. And the latest that we had on this was to defer the issue, which it has been deferred, and to document open ports instead. I'm not sure if the documentation was done. Do we have any info on that, or any documentation captured?
Wasn't done, but it can be done in short order because it just takes somebody to look through the compose files that start up all the containers, because that's where all the open ports are actually defined. But it hasn't been done. I can guarantee that.
Okay. And then this one also, and so Sean, you may need to weigh in as well. Do we have a sense of where this one belongs in terms of releases? So Sean, this one may require your input.
Yeah, Sean, you need this for production because you won't be able to install it in your central office without this. But for trials and POCs, if you're not going into central offices, then it might be acceptable to hold off.
So how is that a cat? Sorry. How easy to get this pulled? I mean, for the for at least for the port, at least get it listed.
Yeah, so that's easy. That's an easy one. So document. I think we should split this in two. I think we should create one to document all the ports that are open by in the cluster.
Right.
And separate it from the real work, which is actually securing and using least privilege for all the commands that are being run in the, because today all the containers run as root, right? Which is inside all the Docker containers, everything's running as root. That needs to be corrected for just about everything. And some of them are open source containers that we pull down, right? So those are going to be even trickier to address. It's a big job. So the documentation though is short. So let's just create one to document the ports that are being opened, and I'll do that. I'll do that in sprint 2 or in sprint 1, whichever. How much time is left in sprint 1 at this point?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So I'll do it in sprint 1. Just create the new JIRA, assign it to me to document all the open ports, and I'll do it.
Yeah, because once I have the document, then I can send it to the trial site and see whether they're affecting them or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So Sean, in terms of release, do you want me to tentatively put it, the issue, not the documentation part here, because that will be a separate ticket? Do we want to put this one in sprint 1 for now, or do you want to hold it in the backlog until you hear back from operations?
Let's put it in the sprint 1, and then if we need to, if we need to move it out, then we
can move it out. Okay.
And you know, you're tracking so well, so I know you wouldn't forget this one. So even I.
Okay. So this one we talked about. Next one we have here, so we're going through the mediums. Actually, let's go back and assess here. We've got 17 issues. So far,
wait a minute, if you put it in the sprint, it needs to be assigned.
Oh,
somebody's got to pick it up.
Right, you're right. Here it is. That's true. So let's see.
Oh, shall we? Would it be easier? Let's break this ticket to 2 different tickets.
Yeah, that was the idea.
That'd be
right,
better.
We're doing one for the documentation. Are you thinking beyond that? We were going to do one for documentation and one for the functionality.
So here's my recommendation. This is a big hunk of work. It's not going to fit in a sprint. So pull that out, do the documentation, sprint 1, and then I need to break this one out into different subtasks or different stories, because there's just a whole whack of stuff that needs to be addressed for this, and it can't be done in a sprint, not by one person.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But the new one, the one that requests the ports be documented, that should be in sprint 1, and that one is easy to get done in the time frame.
And it sounded like you would break this into separate tasks.
Separate stories.
Well, separate stories.
Yeah.
Break.
Probably.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of them, because I'm going to break it up by container, so that it can be addressed separately by somebody.
Yeah. And that will make it a lot easier for us to tackle them, I think, as well, to get at least some functionality sooner. Okay, thank you. All right. The next batch I've got here, let's take a look, or actually, let me go to the end first. I think we did look at all of these, and these are all adapter. We looked at those on the call at the beginning, so those we don't need to worry about right now. The others, what I've done is ones that we've already tagged for future or 2.0, I've moved further down. The adapters, those stories we don't have targeted to anything right now. And then we've got some adapter ones here as well. And then I have it mostly, let me go up a little bit further into the defects. I have them mostly categorized by priority, and I think we're just in the mediums. And so if there are other ones once I get up to the top, other ones that need to get pulled in to sprint 1, we should try and identify those now, I think, and see if we've got resources to assign to that as well. So let me go up to the top of the backlog. Okay, so we talked about the first couple. This is where we're looking now to see if there are things that need to go into sprint 1. We've got VOLTHA build failure on latest master. And Sergio, it looks like you were reviewing that one as well. And this one did look earlier, I guess it was last month now, that we were expecting to target 1.1.x for this fix. And that's where we have it currently slated, but not into a sprint.
Yeah, that was the dependency one that we talked about. And yes, I still need to go and actually look. So what ends up happening is that not all subsystems that need to get built do get built, and then you have to go and sometimes even delete your virtual environment, Python virtual environment. It's a standard makefile correction that needs to be made, and it's long and boring as a task, so it's been deferred until we're done with POC 3.
Okay, got it. And next one, VOLTHA 401. Let me do a time check. Looks like we've got about 15 minutes left. So VOLTHA 401.
Sorry. So defer after POC 3, right? So the spring one ends at the same time as POC 3. So shall we? I mean, and the next activity will be court build, right? And that'll be in November.
Yeah, this isn't a big deal, right? There's a known simple workaround for this.
Okay.
It's really not a big deal. You just build, you instead of trying to build just the container that you want to build, you just do a make build or a make production, and it builds everything and it works fine. It just takes a little longer.
Okay. So shall we just move it out of the 1.1.1, maybe move it to 1.2?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And let me change it here. Okay, there must be an easier way to do this. Okay, and I'll move that down and clean up the backlog later for that. So 401, VOLTHA not able to send alarms or events to Kafka in clustered mode. And this one looked like maybe some documentation was required in addition to more discussion. And Sarisha's not on, but David, you are. Do we have any update on this, on where it stands with the discussion?
Nothing that's not captured there. I think I added a comment to the end of this one that
the last comment I saw was from Tim.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see this reproduce, and that's kind of where that is.
Okay. Let me add a comment along those lines at least. And this does not show as blocking for anything. Oops. This is off my screen here and I can't see here. Okay. Well. And let me check the reporter again. So do we need to get any additional updates, or is this just continued discussion at this point?
I think we need updates, and if no one has seen this or no one updates it, we close it and say, look, it's not reproducible.
Okay.
Was this one related to Vol 421? It's not shown linked, but similar line. Kafka not starting in cluster mode.
Yeah, it's different. The not starting in cluster mode is, well, not starting in cluster mode is typically caused by one of two things. And I put notes in that one already.
Okay, that's fine. If they're not related, great. I recall there was some discussion at one point earlier that they might be, and if we've separated them, that I'll withdraw my question.
The other thing, if they can reproduce this, they need to run. There's a script in the VOLTHA directory on all the servers that's called get logs. They need to run that and attach the logs to the JIRAs. It's the only way we can actually go and look and see what's going on. Right. Providing a snippet from one log file is virtually useless, and it makes it very difficult to reproduce.
Okay.
So if you look at the other JIRA, the one the 421, there's two things they need to do: run getlogs.sh and then create a tar file with all the logs that are in the /var log VOLTHA logging volume, and attach those to any JIRA that's being reported. Because otherwise, all we do is update the JIRA and say, please do that, and then we'll look at it. Because otherwise, there's just not enough information. And one log with one error doesn't necessarily mean that's what's causing the problem. It could be any number of other things. And if you don't collect all the information from the cluster, it's almost impossible to figure out what's going on.
I see. Yep. Here you've got that note in this one. Thank you, Sergio. Okay, so it sounds like we track this one a little bit longer, see if anyone can reproduce it. And if so, hopefully they will provide the required logs so that we can have someone take a look at that in more detail. And if not, then we will need to consider closing things as not reproducible. Okay, how about going on now to Vol 451? VOLTHA Health goes down only in HA mode. VOLTHA Health goes down in CLI with console exceptions over a period of time with no specific triggers.
I looked at that. You can't run VOLTHA on Raspberry Pis, is basically the short answer. The longer answer is a server with only 4 gig of RAM.
I see your notes here.
Right?
Okay. Okay. So this one again looks like it's going to be sort of in a watch state to see if it's reproducible and in a different environment, basically.
I think this gets back to what's the minimum hardware configuration you can attempt to run this on.
Do we have the minimum requirement?
Yeah, so I'd sent you that at one point, Sean. It was a bit bloated, so I'm gonna work out a more a less aggressive configuration. Okay, that's reasonable. So what I put in there: 16 gig of RAM, a 1 terabyte disk, and a minimum i7 quad-core processor is probably the smallest configuration that we should be running this on. And the reason for that is, and I'll tell you why, because if a server goes down and containers get moved over to the other server, it needs to hold double of what it usually runs, right? So you can't be running on extremely skinny servers, because if anything happens and the server goes down, you won't be able to restart the containers on one of the other two.
Hello.
Music on.
Apparently, we've been put on hold.
Okay.
We should be able to.
It's like caller 3.
If you, as the organizer,
there we go.
Mute them.
Someone got it. Thank you.
I got it.
So anyway, I think 16 gig of RAM, 1 terabyte disk, even 5. I mean, you don't need that much disk, but good luck finding something smaller than the terabyte these days. And then quad core, i7 quad core minimum. That's about the smallest server you'd ever want to run this on, which is pretty much your standard laptop, right? So 3 laptops you can run this on if you want.
Not
I think Raspberry Pis.
Well, I thought someone was going to use a Raspberry Pi to remote control something there.
Yeah, I do.
These are people bone black.
Can I? Do we on the wiki for the VOLTHA? Do we have the minimum hardware requirement for cluster in for single node cluster versus? Do we have that requirement?
No, we don't, and the single node cluster needs to still be.
No, single mode or multi mode, the multi node or single node.
Right now for HA, it runs in multi node only. We had that discussion with Sarisha a while back that we needed to have a mechanism to run it on a single node.
Right.
So that hasn't been done yet. So that's probably a 1.2 exercise, and the JIRA still needs to be written for that.
Okay.
I was the one that was going to do that, so I'm going to fix that.
That's why I brought it up. But I think we do need to have on the wiki. We do need to have some kind of the minimum requirement on the hardware side. So can we tag someone to update on the wiki, or if this information, then I can put it on the wiki also. David, is that usually the wiki is usually the place to list that kind of requirement?
Yeah, wiki is a good place. Wiki, the thing about wiki is it's not a community editable thing in terms of everybody can't edit it at the same time. There's more revision, so it's better for document type stuff. You can always use Google Docs if you're looking for something a little more interactive.
And maybe put a Google Doc there and then just a link on wiki, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember I've seen a few queries on the Discuss and people asking about this. So
yeah, I think that the only issue with the Google Docs is most people go to the wiki and do a search to find information. So if it's in the wiki, it'll be likely to be more easily found by people. But again, depending on how you want the life cycle of the document, if you think it's going to be a live document, wiki's not always the best form.
But you can post the current to the wiki while you maintain the document in Google Docs.
Right. Or just a link. It says it's just a link, right?
Yes, you can do a link.
I mean, people can view. They if they don't have the permission, they just cannot edit. So yeah, okay. I don't want Sergio to do everything here, so anybody can chime in to get that thing done. Hey guys and girls, speak up. Okay, Sergio, it's yours. Sorry.
I got to figure out how to navigate through that.
We'll go update the
wiki to figure out where that would be.
The wiki is, yeah, we need to more organize it. Let's make it a sub-team effort.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm doing a story around that.
Yeah. And we have about well, now it's down to 1 minute left. I think we're almost through what we needed to discuss for today. We've almost gone through the defects that were here. Next one, Vol 462, enable DHCP IGMP on provisioning, should default to true for VOLTHA. And targeted for 1.1. Oh, comment, Sean?
No.
Okay, so I moved this one into 1.1.1 since we already released 1.0. If it needs to go somewhere else, we can do that. And if it stays in 1.1.1, then what does it belong in this first sprint, or does it wait till later on?
David, why do we need to make it as a default? Yeah, I'm putting on my ONF hat, right? So IGMP.
Yeah, this essentially everybody has to set it to true. So it really doesn't make sense to not do this, right? So right now you can set it. Actually, I thought we already had committed this. We already set this, didn't we? We'll be done.
I was looking at that one. It's not committed. It's not merged.
It hasn't been merged yet.
No, what I'm saying, I appreciate the effort, but at the same time, I want to maybe other service provider were against the idea, right?
Maybe what?
Other service provider, the IGMP means, on provisioning. What does this mean? It means the IGMP will, as a default, one of the services.
This is trying to remember. Yeah, this basically says after you're authorized, just automatically get this stuff provisioned, as opposed to provision it from don't provision it when you authorize, I guess, which is why it always has to be true. We can, again, if people don't want to merge this, fine. I don't care. I can set it via a config file and in my deployment, but I think everybody else is going to have to as well.
I mean,
so it's more of a convenience than anything else.
Right. Okay. I mean, for AT&T, yes, I think that makes sense. But
I think for everybody, for all deployments, it probably makes sense. But if we don't want to merge it, I'm perfectly happy to say, fine, we'll abandon this change and people can set it individually.
Okay, I'm just being okay. So,
yep.
Is everybody okay to merge it? I'm okay to merge it too. So, any objection on that one?
Who needs to review, and who plus twos this?
That's ONOS related, right? So would that be
I back channeled Jono on it. Jono was okay. Yeah. He thought it made sense, but again, I can get Jono to plus to it. If other people want to check it out, it'd be nice to have a verification by some other companies, other vendors, just so we don't want to make this, vendor myopic by any means.
Why don't we just talk to Jono and then just have them merged?
All right, I'll give Jono a ping. I can wait for other input from other companies too. That's kind of where the position was. I just haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
So, how long do people need to review this, do you think?
It's like a 3-line fix. So,
yeah,
this would be the vendors look at it and say, yeah, I'm setting this anyway. It'd be nice to not to have to set up manually. Or if there's a vendor out there that says, I don't set this. I don't need it, and if you set it to true by default, I'm going to have to set it by false, right?
Unset, right.
So if it's disrupting someone, I'm perfectly happy not to have it merged. If it's making people's lives better or easier, I'm perfectly happy to have it merged. And so that's kind of the vendor acknowledgement I'm looking for.
Is it documentation related to this one, right? So does people know they can set it or unset it?
Other than no, there's no documentation.
Okay, so I sorry for the effort you already put in. I think the better approach. So that's part of the configuration file during the install or turn up, right?
You'd have to set a configuration file, and then you would have to mount it into ONOS, or you would have to start up ONOS and update this to CLI.
Yeah, so I'm tempting to make it as a documentation, so I let people aware if they want to support IGMP, they need to do this.
Okay. As I said, it wasn't that much effort. It doesn't offend me at all.
Oh, I'll buy you ice cream later.
Okay, fair enough. Fair trade.
Do we have ice cream in our cafeteria?
I'm sure there's ice cream somewhere around here.
Sorry, I'll bring up.
Okay, so we're past time at this point. So let me just capture a note here, and then we'll end the call for the day. So Sean, am I understanding that you prefer for this to be handled via documentation rather than merging the code changes?
Correct. I'd rather people aware about this, and they can do whatever they want.
Okay. So I'll add that note in here, and we will not put that in Sprint 1 at this time. And I think that's, like I said, we're over time at this point, so that takes us through the end of the meeting. Any final questions or comments?
Yes. Yeah, one last comment. Just close Vol 365. It shouldn't even be open anymore.
Okay, that was one I was expecting should be closed. Okay. I'll close that afterwards. So
okay.
Close 365. And that way I can let people drop off the call. Okay, so I will close Vol 365. And then any other comments before we end the call for the day? Okay, thanks. Oh, yes.
I have a question. Can I ask it here? It's Lydia from Calix.
Hi.
Hi, Lydia.
Hi. As far as the lab trial, they said Sean was asking for automatically provision the newly arrived ONT when VOLTHA is up and running. I'm just wondering, is this supported by the current XPON structure?
Lydia, is that question to me? You said there's something.
It's first, I want to understand your requirement, and secondly, I want to understand if this is supported by the current way that XPON configuration.
Can you send me an email, because so that's outside any of the VOLTHA open ticket today, or is that particular JIRA ticket related to this one?
I haven't raised that ticket, but I just want to make sure we don't misunderstand your requirements first.
So when I first hear what you say, I feel like there's a little bit miscommunication there. Can you send me an email, and then and maybe CC Cliff, and then send me an email, and then so I can have a further discussion with that.
Okay. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so Tim, I may talk to you offline. I'm not seeing how to close this with a status other than done. So I may have to figure out how to what to do with this one. Yeah, so we'll take that offline. I will go ahead and stop the recording now. So thank you, everyone, and I will talk to you again next week. And again, please feel free to put updates in JIRA. And if you are done with issues that are in Sprint 1, please feel free to pull from the backlog as well. Thanks, everyone.